In relative terms, New London is a poor city. Much of the state's wealth resides in Western Connecticut. State unions argue that higher taxes on that wealth is the best way to solve the state's fiscal and urban problems. Others argue higher taxes would further damage the economy and government spending has to be cut. Which philosophy would you bring to Hartford if elected?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there was a great article that came out in the Current not too long ago. Institute for Taxation talked about people who make $1.3 million in the state of Connecticut pay 5% on their taxes. Everyone in this room, I mean, I'm going to make an assumption here, but everyone in this room pays about 10% in taxes. And so if we're going to ask the unions to give back, it's called shared sacrifice, because 1.3 million are paying 5 and we're paying 10%. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Representative Hewett, would you want to comment?
I'm a union guy. I've been one for a long time. Boilermaker, Teamster, and UAW. I make no bones about that. If there's something going on in Hartford, I'm going to get the unions the benefit of the doubt. But what we argued this year in this budget, which is the worst budget I've seen since I've been in Hartford, where we had to cut $950 million in one swipe. And we argued like crazy to tax people that made $250,000 and more. But guess what? The votes wasn't there. You know, when you're a real estate agent, it's about location, location, location. Well, in the state of Connecticut, when you pass a bill, it's about votes, votes, votes. If they're not there, you can't pass it.
You have a chance to rebut. Last comment, 30 seconds. I
mean, again, Rep. Hewett has a strong union voting record, no doubt about that. I think it's like 96%. But last Monday, when the unions needed him, you know, he came in and he didn't testify, and that's when they needed him. Now, I haven't been in the legislature, but I got up there and I testified to talk about that L&M acquisition, because it is going to affect New Londoners, and somebody needed to stand up and talk about it.
Okay, so glad you brought that up.
He raised a new issue, so to be fair, I'll give you 30 seconds to comment on.
So glad you brought that up. But what you forgot, Chris, is this. At the beginning of the year, when we first went into session, Lawrence Memorial Eye Hospital asked me to write a letter on behalf of that acquisition, in support of the acquisition and the merger. And I did. Maybe you should take a look at it, because when you spoke, you walked right down the middle of the road. They call that riding the fence in Hartford. You got to take a position on one side or the other, because there's no room for riding the fence in Hartford. So yeah, I figured if you learn that here, you might be better off when you go to Hartford, if you go to Hartford.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Soto, if we could clarify, Representative Hewett has written in support of the merger. Could you at least, could you explain to us where you stand on the merger?
Yeah. So I support the merger. I absolutely do support the merger, just like Representative Hewett does. But that doesn't mean that it's a win and a loss for the other people, okay? Because there needs to be a community benefits agreement in place, right? A community benefits agreement that outlines what that money is going to look like when Yale decides to throw the $300 million into New London, right? It's not just going to be that the hospital wins and the people lose.
All right, thank you.
I agree.
The next question is to you, Representative Hewett, and it's from Tim Cotter.